Warning. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect that of the HHN TV or its constituent entities. Furthermore, some parents may not find this content suitable for children as it contains explicit language and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, everybody. I'm Drew Duncan. The show's fired up, and we are live. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Take your device to play Fired Up by Drew Duncan, iTunes, iHeart, wherever you're listening. I am there. Matter of fact, you could just Google Fired Up by Drew Duncan. Look, guys, plenty to get to today. We're going to be talking about John Jones going ham on Twitter, Dana White basically defending him. We're going to be talking about Oklahoma State. Coach Gundy says it's time to get down to business, but then Oklahoma State turns around and puts QR codes on the helmets of players. We're going to be getting into that. We're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers, what he had to say about this preseason. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Tua. Brian Flores responds. Plenty to get to today. Tom Brady, his top 5 QBs. Bill Parcells, what he says about starting young QBs. Zion, has he lost some weight? Plenty to get to. All right, first thing is first. So Mike Gundy last week said, no more NIL. Tell your agents to stop calling. It's time to get down to business. All right. Look, I'm all for the NIL deals. Fair statement, right? It's a far cry from, I'm a man. Attack me, come for me. It's a far cry from that, but it is what it is, right? It's a different day and age. Every coach has got a thing about it. You would think somebody like Mike Gundy would be all about it. I mean, damn, man, his tan is starting to get a little bit more year-round all the time. But now players, though, are going to be having QR codes on the back of their helmets. The QR codes are for donations from fans. They could literally get on there, get a QR code, and by the way, we're talking literally take a picture of a QR code in game. That's what they're banking on. And what these fans can do is then they can donate money, what they're calling campaigns, to help players out with NIL money. And Coach Gundy called it a fabulous idea. Of course he did. Because it's really not clear how much money is actually going towards the students. They called it a win. They said it's a new thing. We're all just trying to raise NIL promotions. We're trying to get campaigns going. And you can select certain players that you want for this to happen. You can click in general. Then, of course, they've got the dollar amounts all right there for you. Look, I said a long time ago when the NIL thing was first going on and people were wondering how you were going to pay athletes and all this other stuff, I said the money is going to be there. People are going to put up the money. There's always going to be a booster. There's always going to be a fan, and that's the way that it is. I mean, hell, you look at Texas A&M in donations last year alone, $114 million, which, by the way, is up from 2022, which saw $86 million. The money will always be there, people. And I know that a lot of people are going to be really upset, and they're going to say, man, you know, this is what the NIL has done. It's ruined the game of football. It's ruined the sport that I love. The sport that you love, I hate to break it to you, really never existed. College football has always been a dirty business, and it always will be a dirty business, and that's just the way that it is. People want their universities to flourish. It's a pride thing. It's an ego thing. I've got money. I can spend it. Don't worry about it. They are taking pride. Look, a lot of these boosters basically will tell you, dude, I brought in these players. Everybody says the coach is such a great recruiter. He's got all these great recruiters, blah, blah, blah. No, he doesn't. I'm the one with the deep pockets. My deep pockets got these kids to come here. You don't think they didn't make payments to not only just athletes, but teachers, athletic directors? You think that money wasn't just floating around everywhere? Does anybody remember SMU basically having a payroll? Folks, there have been payrolls at the collegiate level. This stuff existed for years and years and years. And if you'd have taken the top off of college football and saw it for what it really was, you probably would have never liked it to begin with. You'd have blamed the players, said they were all greedy, they don't really want to play football. Nah, man. They do. A good majority of them really do. Sure, you got the Curtis Martins of the world. It happens. But for my money, I think a good majority of people play sports because they want to play sports. But I think, honestly, the only time that we can ever call it innocent is Pee Wee football. But even then, have you seen what happens in Texas? Recruiting violations. Pee Wee stuff. You ever seen Friday Night Tykes? Pee Wee level stuff is getting recruiting violations, man. That's a bad way, isn't it? We have just made the game ugly. But as long as betting is around, as long as there is money to be made, it is what it is. It's the NFL, it's the NBA, it's college athletics. You think that your little prep academy is just so good at recruiting all those players at the high school level? You think your coach is that good? If you were to take a closer look, you'd see so much dirty business. But who cares as long as we're winning, right? That's all that really matters. Get that W. Look, if you think grades were ever the mission for college athletics, you are wrong. Maybe there was a time, but I'd be willing to bet that time probably stopped in the 1940s when Notre Dame took over the way that they did. All right, real quick here, because I really don't want to spend a lot of time on this. We already hit on this yesterday. Brian Flores, obviously, he addressed it, and he just basically said, look, I'm going to do better. Hopefully people don't look at me that way, which, by the way, there's already been people that have been coming to his defense at the Minnesota Vikings that when he first showed up, he took players, brought them into his house. Now, he may not remember things that way. Look, let's be honest. Things can be construed a very different way from different people. It is really easy for me to say basically the exact same thing as somebody else, but that somebody else words it differently, and so to somebody else, that makes more sense. Other people could relate to me more because they're like, no, how do you not understand what the hell this guy's saying? And literally, we could be saying the exact same thing, but it's phrasing, presentation. I'm not saying that what Tua said about Flores was right or wrong. I'm just saying these are the possibilities. And look, maybe he was that way before, but is he now? Maybe he did learn from it and grow from it when nobody was looking. Maybe he dealt with it all by himself and just said, man, I really screwed the pooch on that. I fucked that job up. Even though he did sue the Miami Dolphins, which who the hell knows, maybe he still feels that way about him, but apparently he's let it go. But the fact that he said that he wanted to reach out to Tua and talk to him before, it kind of lets me know that it's been pressing on his mind anyways, that, man, maybe I should have peeled back. So it's obviously there in some regard. I mean, who the knows, right? All this, he said, they said, oh boy said, man, I get tired of it. When did the NFL become the WWF? WWE, whatever the hell. I mean, seriously, This is that type of drama. I'm not here for it. I'm keeping it a buck. Look, at the end of the day, I'm talking about this because it's August. And to me, the only thing that it could do, and again, I say this, is create chaos in the locker room. And a lot of people thought I thought the Miami Dolphins. I partially do. I partially think Miami Dolphins. Because Tua said, hey, look, there's still a couple of guys on the squad that were there. But for the most part, I think Minnesota Vikings. If Brian Flores was able to find another gig somewhere else, why put stuff like this out there? Now, maybe he's been holding on to it. Maybe he's been harboring it. Maybe he really needed to let it go. Man, I don't know. I'm not here to judge Tua. I'm not here to judge Flores. From an athletic perspective, when you cut all this other BS out of the way, my thing is Tua creating unnecessary problems? I just am old school. I don't think this gets dealt with in the media. I think you send out a text. And if you need to have your ass covered later on, then just take a screenshot, my man. You send some text out, you make a phone call, you record the damn conversation in case any BS comes out of it to cover your ass, and that's that. You handle it behind closed doors. We have gotten way too comfortable with handling everything out in public. Every time Stephen A. or Skip Bayless or somebody gets into it with an athlete, come on the show, let's have it out on the show. Yeah, let's draw a rating, because that's all that really matters anymore. It's not about running retractive statements. It's not about real apologies. It's all about grabbing a fucking rating. And people wonder why people have a hard time with sports being real, because they see this absolute BS going on all the time. And again, I'm not mad at Tua. He felt the need to speak on it, so we did. Look, we get mad at athletes for being too political, but then we get mad at them for being too honest. Look, man, it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, Tua did what he felt he had to do. I just don't like this type of back and forth drama. And like I said yesterday, we're never really going to get to the bottom of this. And the digger that the bigger hole that we try to dig, and the deeper we dig, the worse it is going to be. We will never get to the bottom of this. It's never going to happen. Ever. All right. Tom Brady, his list of top 5 quarterbacks. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Rodgers, keeping it AFC, I guess. Which, let's be honest. I mean, who's really in the NFC right now, right? You start going down the NFC, who do you think is over there? Maybe Baker Mayfield, he's not top 5. Dak Prescott, look, Dallas Cowboy fan, I know you want to believe it. It's not true. Dak Prescott's not top 5 in the NFL. A good majority of us have been telling you this for how long, and you're not going to believe it. And all the Brock Purdy fans that were out there shouting out, Purdy, 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 sorry, amigo. Anybody with half a brain knows that he's a good QB. He's just not a great QB. And here's the thing, right? And it's because, with Purdy, he's got a stacked roster. You see what I'm saying? I mean, come on, TK, Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, the offensive line, the defense. We've all talked about it ad nauseum. But that's just it, though, right? I mean, when you start doing stuff like this, is it okay? Is this predicated upon a season ago? Is this predicated upon longevity? Is this predicated upon accomplishments, which also could be a longevity stat? Is it coaching, playoff success, Super Bowls, MVPs, which are all pretty much accomplishments? Some of them are team accomplishments. Is it stats? Is it having a lack of team, the team that's around you that's magnificent? If they were anywhere else, would they be as good? There's so many things, right? Now, for me, and this is just me, I would take Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Stroud, and Watson. Now, look, Mahomes is a given, okay? Right now, he is the best quarterback in the NFL, and it's literally not even up for debate. It's the way that it is, whether anybody out there likes it or not. Lamar Jackson, all you haters out there, he's literally the two-time MVP. The play calling for the AFC Championship game, I've gone over this 100 times, was atrocious. You've got a defense that ranks 18th in the NFL. You're getting 6+ per tote. And what do you decide to do? Throw the football 82% of the time against one of the best pass defenses in all the NFL. You've got nothing to prove. And by the way, Lamar Jackson came in as a rookie just after the midseason. Team with a losing record took him to the playoffs. I don't want to hear it. I was not a believer of Lamar when he came out of college. I was wrong. He can ball. Joe Burrow, if you want to swap him and Lamar, whatever, I don't really give a damn. When it comes down to the other two, I know I'm going to get some but that's okay. Especially because I never jump bandwagons after one season. But, man, what happened with the Texans last year was amazing. And now you've got Stephon Diggs added to that situation. You've got him a true number one now. The way he read the defense, how calm he was, the way all the guys responded to him, the energy level completely shifted with the Houston Texans when he showed up. He was the true difference maker. And as a rookie, I'm telling you, I was so skeptical even at the beginning of the season. I was like, come on, he's doing okay, but when he's against this defense and a real this is how. But the end results, man, I'm telling you. And as far as Deshaun Watson goes, look, I know there's a lot of outside stuff with him. Let's just forget about it. Somebody's going to say injury. Let's just forget about it. Like I said earlier, the only stat that matters is the W column. And last season, Cleveland was 5-1 with him and 6-5 without him. Presence is a thing. Game-winning drives. Your team is always in it when you have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback. I mean, come on, let's not forget that there was a time when everybody was mad at the Houston Texans because they wouldn't get Deshaun an offensive line. They were trading away all their best players. Even J.J. Watt got fed up and was like, dude, I can't do this. I'm done. I hate what you're doing right now. We have this dude at quarterback, and instead of giving him more, you're taking it all away from him. I mean, really, when you think about it, that's how it still is. Now, the injury thing, a lot of people didn't believe it at first, right? Come to find out, he needed surgery. We'll see how this season goes. But for my money, those are the best quarterbacks in really the NFL right now. Sorry, Giants fans, Daniel Jones isn't there. Jared Goff, no. Matthew Stafford, no. Now, Matthew Stafford has shown me a lot more over the last couple of years with the Rams than I thought he really had in him, but I also think he's winding down. I mean, I'm just keeping it a buck. All right. So John Jones, boy, he went ham on Twitter, right? I mean, absolutely ham on Twitter. So John Jones, basically the recap of it is he was supposed to defend a belt that, by the way, he won all the way in March of last year. It's been a year and a half now. He got injured in November, couldn't do the fight. Now, there's been this whole thing about Stipe Miocic and Ngannou and all this stuff going on, right? You got Stipe, oh my goodness, I cannot talk this morning. You got Miocic, all right? He's an interim champ. The Ngannou fight, according to Dana White, is 100% the fault of Francis Ngannou. That he backed out, he didn't really want it, couldn't put the deal together. Jones said he's tired of fighting randoms. He was like, how many more records can I break? And he said, how many of my own records can I break? Then, of course, he talked about the video that surfaced and said, look, I'm tired of fighting randoms. Here's the situation. These fights were never even in talk. There was never even a conversation. Nobody was willing to really make a real move on anything. Who do we believe? Well, I could tell you right now, I don't know who the hell to believe. I mean, at this point, Jon Jones is officially holding up an entire division. Dana White, we all know that he's the biggest Jon Jones apologist in the entire world. And look, make what you want to of all the outside stuff with Jon Jones, right? Whether you believe it's happened or not, whether it has actually happened or not, what's in between somewhere, I guess we'll never really know. We can only go off of what we read. Believe none of what you see and only part of what you hear. Who the hell knows, man? What I do know is this. Jon Jones has put on a lot of weight. Jon Jones does not look like he wants to have a fight. And Jon Jones is definitely out here kicking it. Now, that's the reality, okay? People are waiting for the next Jon Jones fight. And I got to tell you, I just don't know if it's coming. I really don't. Especially this year. Look, we are already at the tail end of August. I mean, come on, man. Florida State plays Georgia Tech this Saturday, right? That's always the signal that, for week 0, that we're basically there. It's practically fall. If Jon Jones were to sign a contract today, guarantee you that man's not ready to fight till January, February. I guarantee you. Normally it's 2 to 3 months out. This would be so far in advance. And even then, sometimes now these contracts are 6 months out. It's insane. But I just really think that Jones would not be ready until January, February, and I'm not even kidding. Now, that's if he signed a contract today. And that's provided that his latest legal issues don't catch up to him. Now, I'm not saying it's real. I believe in innocence until proven guilty. It's an allegation. It is what it is. And we don't have enough information to make a judgment one way or the other right now. Anyway, the point of what I'm saying is we don't know what is going to happen with all of his other stuff. And predicated upon that, I mean, what's he going to do? Dana signing him to a fight would definitely be risk-reward. The reward is obvious. Pay-per-view numbers through the roof. The risk, he might not be able to show up for the fight. He's just not the same. And that's whether anybody likes it or not. All right, real quick here. Some pictures of Zion have surfaced. People are saying that he's losing weight. Some people are saying it's a camera angle. Some people are taking pictures from another angle. Look, I've never seen anybody this obsessed with somebody's weight. Seriously, in the history of everdom. Jerome Bettis wasn't exactly small. But what did everybody do? They called him the bus. And I just don't get it. At some point, and I do mean this, at some point, we need to let it go. Because when it comes to Zion, number one, it just seems like it's the only damn thing that we can ever really talk about. His weight. Why do you care, bro? Why are you so massively obsessed with this dude's weight? Well, he's a pro ball player, man. How come he's not in a little bit more shape? Why do you care? Literally, why do you care? Are you worried about Zion's health? Are you sincerely concerned that he's going to have heart problems? Are you really worried about his genetic makeup? Why do you give one rat's ass as to how Zion looks? Who cares? Seriously. There's got to be a logical explanation somewhere. I'll wait for it. Whatever it is, I'm probably not going to accept it because it's what you will think is logical, not what actually is. The only argument I would even begin to accept is, look, man, he's in the NBA. He's basically paid to stay fit. It shows a lack of interest in being the best that he can be on the court. That would be it. That would literally be the only even remotely acceptable reason. But even then, why do you want to judge him, bro? And why do you care, bro? It's Zion's career, not ours. And he's going to do with it whatever he does with it. If he fumbles the bag, that is 100% on him. Jamarcus Russell fumbled the bag. That was 100% on him. And look, as somebody who's partied a lot in life, I can look at a majority of players in the NFL, the NBA, just by looking at them, I can go, man, that dude's drinking a lot. A lot. Probably having some other party favors too, just by looking. But you know what I don't do? I don't get on a microphone. I don't spew nonsense that, A, I can't necessarily back up, even though I know what it looks like. B, it's none of my business. Who gives a damn? C, as long as they can do their job and win games, and it's all that really matters. And Zion didn't look that bad to me last season. In fact, he looked really improved. Now, did he look like a number one draft pick? Did he look like the guy that could take you to where you want to go in the NBA playoffs, i.e. get you to the finals? No. But I said from the beginning when Zion was drafted that he was going to be under more pressure than any player in the history of the NBA before him. And why was that? Why did I say those things? Mainly because ESPN literally had a dude standing there with all the fans yelling at the top of his lungs, "We're all ready for Zion!" Why are you promoting him? It's not your job, but they did. It's the job of the Pelicans. That's their position. It's 100% their job to promote Zion. What did ESPN do? Man, they went bananas. What happened as soon as he got drafted? Bam, lawsuit. Folks, we're talking 3 seconds went by before a lawsuit was announced on him. Seriously. Really think about this. Really think about the incredible pressure that dude has been under since day one. You think LeBron had scrutiny? He was never going to live up to the hype. Zion could have gone to 10 consecutive NBA finals won all 10 of them, got to the 11th, lost it, and all of a sudden it would have been he's washed. We all knew he was overrated. Jordan never lost an NBA final. Then he could have went to 5 more, won all those. No, but he still lost that one. And that's not far-fetched. That's where we've come in the scrutiny of athletes in today's game. I mean, hell, man, didn't you have J.J. Redick go, hey, bro, this is my last season. Don't blow this for me. Or was he talking to Trae Young? Hell, I can't remember. Even then, what the hell is that? The point of what I'm saying is the amount of pressure, man, I couldn't have been Zion. I mean, I'm just going to let you know right now. Not that I would have crumbled, not that I would have fumbled the bag, none of that. I just don't know how I'd have dealt with people. I don't know how I'd have dealt with social media. I think any social media that I had, I'd have got off of it. And I would have told everybody that I know, if you say one word to me about anything that anybody says about me, I am cutting you off right now. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. I don't care. I'm telling you, nobody's had more pressure than Zion. And look, I'm not going to say I haven't had a good laugh. I mean, come on, man. The class act memes that came out, you know, Demita and come on, man. It was funny. Don't get me wrong. It was hilarious, as a matter of fact. The point of what I'm saying is he was under intense pressure from the jump. He was never going to live up to that hype. It wasn't going to happen. The fact of the matter is, you're never going to be happy with Zion. You were never going to be happy with Zion. And since 99% of all people talking about sports aren't actually watching the games, of course, all they're going to talk about is how he's big. Keep that same energy for the bus, bro. Well, the bus could actually play. The bus could actually play. Zion's so overrated. Hey, man. Give it time. Anybody see Boston play last year? How good have the Nuggets been? The Knicks are so improved, especially, you know, defensively over the last couple of years, one of the toughest teams in the NBA to play against. I agree, he's got to stay healthy. But there's a million and one other things that we could talk about, though, other than his body size. That's dumb. And it's the obsession with it that really gets to me, because I don't get it. All right. Really quick here. Bill Parcells starting young QBs. And first of all, I want to be clear about my position on something. To me, Bill Parcells is the GOAT. That's all there is to it. That's all I'm going to say. Because there's nothing else to be said. He is 100% the GOAT. Here's a quote from Bill Parcells on starting young quarterbacks. Quote, "So I think you just have to see what you're dealing with personally, what kind of temperament he seems to have. How does he respond to negative play situations or hard coaching? Fans will say, well, if he can't take it, we don't want him anyway. But when this is a high draft choice, you've got to do everything in your power to allow him to have a chance to succeed. Economically, these days, it's not in your best interest if he doesn't succeed. It's bad if you have a lot of expense and no production." End quote. How the hell could he ever be wrong? You know, the Browns since 2000 have had 38 starting quarterbacks. 38. Washington's had 27. Hell, in the last decade alone, Houston's had 15. 15 in a decade. Look, number one, it obviously points to a very real thing, right? It is much more difficult to find a really good quarterback than people realize. But this is something else that I've talked about I don't know how many times. And this is the reality of the situation. Forget about all the money that you're spending. Forget all that. If you were Caleb Williams, would you have really wanted to go to the Bears? Situationally. The coaching, the mismanagement, the play calling, the GMs, not winning because of all the aforementioned players that you look and you go, man, can they really make it in the NFL? I wouldn't have. And deep down, you know you wouldn't have either. Now, somebody out there is going to go, well, come on, bro. If you're a really good player, you want to prove yourself. You want to do that. You want to prove yourself. You know, that's what makes him a warrior. He wants to prove that he can carry the Bears into the promised land. That's real cute. Number one draft pick means big money, bro. And that's what that amounts to. Which is part of what Parcells is talking about. You got all this money. It's big money. You willing to throw it around there because you're going, this guy is going to lead us back to the promised land. We have this horrible football team, and this guy's going to get us to where we need to go. Now, somebody's going to say, well, look at this situation with the Bears. They got the pieces. Oh, sure. Now, they drafted Justin Fields. They threw him to the wolves, and then they went out and got a bunch of players to put around a quarterback and then said, bye, Justin, you can go to Pittsburgh. And then they drafted Caleb Williams. You want to talk about spitting in his face. And what did Bill Parcells just say? If you are going to draft somebody high and you're going to pay them all this money, you better be getting production out of them, and you got to make sure they succeed. In other words, their success is partially tied directly into you as a coach, as an organization, and he would know. He drafted Drew Bledsoe. It's your responsibility. You have to actually step back and watch. How is he handling negative situations? Why do you think it's so good for guys to sit out? It's so good for them to sit out because they learn how to handle these situations. I'm telling you, it's always the best thing. But nobody's patient. Nobody wants to wait. Look, if I draft a Caleb Williams number one, because I truly believe he's going to be that guy, I don't give a damn if I've got Joe Flacco at age 90 out there limping around chucking the football. He is starting week number one for a full season. As long as he's healthy, he's out there. Full season. Before I allow my number one draft pick to even sniff that football field during the regular season. Now, the Chiefs did it right. They knew they were going to make the playoffs at the end of the year. They knew where they were going to be, and they said, Patrick, go play against the Denver Broncos. And he played that game at Denver. That was his rookie year. So he got some playing time. He got some reps, real actual in-game situation stuff. 100%, the Chiefs should be the definition right now. Someone's going to say, well, the Packers, the Chiefs, did everything 100% correct. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And believe me when I tell you, if Bill Parcells says this stuff, you could take it to the bank. This is stuff I've been saying for years. It is your responsibility when you draft somebody this high and put all this pressure on them to be the next one to put pieces around them. But if you're not making trades, if you're not, doing whatever you got to do in the draft, if you're not moving up, whatever the case may be, it's 100% on you. So Aaron Rodgers says that this preseason has been the most difficult that he's had in probably the last 7 or 8 years. By the way, according to a report from Yahoo, 300 more practice reps than they had last year. Yet, for whatever reason, he's not playing in the preseason, and he got held of a joint practice because of rain. Look, people could talk about Coach Selah and whatever the case and how this shows that he's not concerned about Aaron Rodgers' injury and Aaron looks really good and, you don't need to see Aaron in the game in preseason. You already know what you're going to get. You got to protect him. Can't get him hurt. Bro, you got to get him used to getting some actual hits. The reps are great. Do not get me wrong. But you've got to get some hits. You got to remember what it feels like to get popped. You have to know these things. I'm not saying you're ever going to forget. And at this point in Aaron Rodgers' career, I know a lot of people think that I'm being petty. Well, Aaron Rodgers is being petty. Coach Selah is being petty. And he's making everybody else start in a joint practice in the rain except for Aaron Rodgers. I can appreciate getting in the reps. 100%. Over and over and over again, you got to perfect it. But the play calling has got to change. Nathaniel Hackett, first down, run it. Second down, screen or draw. Third down, look off throw. And by the way, go watch those plays with Aaron Rodgers. Just kept calling the same play back to back. And Breece Hall was running the football like a madman. And instead of giving him the football, you just kept throwing it. We'll see if the O-line's any better this season than they were last season. I'm just saying I don't expect that much more from the Jets. I don't expect that much more from Aaron. I really just don't. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's not going to really matter. If you ask me, he's not getting along with the guys. I think everybody's just a little bit sick and damn tired of him. Was trading Zach Wilson the right thing? Yeah. But not because Zach Wilson can't cut the mustard. It's because it's not fair how you've treated him anyway. I'm just saying. All right, real quick here. Jerry Jones somewhat backpedals a little bit. Says that he really wants to get the deal done with CeeDee Lamb. Look, at this point, I'm tired of talking about it. Let's see it. Same thing with Brandon Ayuk. I'm tired of talking about it. Let's see it. I don't care what side it's from. I just want to see it. All right? I'm sick of it. The reality is this. The Dallas Cowboys need to stop spending so much damn money on Dak Prescott. You just literally had Tom Brady and Peyton Manning do a top 5. Prescott was nowhere near it. If you want to have a game manager as your starting quarterback, I'm all good with it, Broham. But if you think he's going to go somewhere else and be successful, he won't be. He's already had some of the best teams in the NFL around him consecutively. The reality of the situation is he is not getting it done. Well, that game against Green Bay, it's not his fault the defense gave up that many points. No, but it is partially his fault for putting the defense in that situation with the turnovers. And the missed throws. And didn't Green Bay's defense score a touchdown? Stop it. Jerry Jones has some really big decisions to make. I understand he doesn't want to rush any of them. He's a businessman at the end of the day. But at some point, you have to realize where you are with Dak. And if Dak wants to be the good boy and show up and do all the right things and all that good stuff, then Dak Prescott has a very easy responsibility. Play like a mad dog this year. And if Dallas doesn't want to re-sign him to what he wants, fine. Go test the market somewhere else, bro. But you stick Dak Prescott with that Cincinnati Bengals football team that Joe Burrow has, he doesn't get nearly the production. What is Burrow? 29 and 22 and 1. Meanwhile, without him, Cincinnati is 6 and 8. Wouldn't be the same story. And we'd see how healthy Dak would stay back there behind that O-line. Just saying. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. The show's fired up, and we are live. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Take a device to play Fired Up by Drew Duncan, iTunes, iHeart. Wherever you're listening, I am there. Just Google Fired Up by Drew Duncan, my man, and I'm going to pop right up. Plenty to get to as the week continues on. Do not forget, Friday is our MMA insider, Austin Ford. He will be joining the program. Your local programming is next. Don't you dare touch that dial.